Welcome back. Well, Virginia's Attorney General is expanding an investigation into Fairfax County public high schools after those schools, several of them, allegedly failed to tell students in a timely manner that they had qualified for national merit awards. The investigation is looking into whether there might be human rights violations, what motivated the delay in notifying these students. And Wen spoke with some of those outraged parents and has the latest.
State officials in Virginia expanding their investigation into at least 10 Northern Virginia public high schools that allegedly failed to notify their students of their National Merit Commended Scholar status in a timely manner.
Our preliminary report says over 1,000 students were not notified of the situation.
Virginia's Attorney General's office claiming school officials allegedly withheld telling students they were commended scholars to avoid upsetting others who were not.
We're trying to understand whether they were treating students, denying them certain either recognition or admission based on their ethnic background.
The commended student status, an extremely competitive honor, goes to at least 3% of PSAT test takers nationally. One of the schools at the center of the controversy, the elite Thomas Jefferson High School for Science of Technology, where there are more than 65% Asians and about 20% whites. Blacks and Latinos make up less than 10% of the population, according to the Fairfax County Public School System. The school eventually notified students of their status, but not in time for the start of the college application season, creating what students and parents say was a missed opportunity.
Stop the sabotage!
Some outraged parents demanding accountability at a recent school board meeting.
If you just put it as from the perspective of what a competent and diligent administration should do, is a serious failure, a miserable failure.
That delay potentially causing students like Shauna Yashar's son to miss deadlines for adding the commended student honor to their early decision applications.
Some schools had already made their decisions.
There are schools that offer scholarships up to $35,000 a year. So yeah, do the math. It's a lot of money.
A Fairfax County Public Schools spokesperson says they've initiated a third-party independent investigation and that our preliminary understanding is that the delay was due to human error.
All right, thanks to Wen for that. And let's continue this story now. A very interesting story with Nick Minock, who's been covering this story for our station, WJLA, here in Washington, D.C. Nick, you know, this delay, I guess, is what they're still calling it. I guess it will prevent some students from taking advantage of scholarship money that they might be able to get, or even admission into the school of their choice. What are you hearing from students and parents on this story?
Well, Terry, it's good to be with you. On one hand, you have some parents in Fairfax County, Virginia, who are just outraged that this happened, that the school system didn't tell them about this prestigious accolade. And then on the other hand, you have students who are just devastated. I heard from one parent that their student just learned about this and they were just in tears because they could have put this on their college scholarship or application and this could have given them a leg up, but the deadline has passed for that and being notified now is just too late. So there's outrage, concern, and a lot of parents just want to get to the bottom of this. At this point in Fairfax County, Virginia, we do know at least 7 high schools delayed this notification to students. And that's about 25% of the high schools in Fairfax County. And Fairfax County is the most populous county in Virginia. And we're also learning other school districts didn't notify students in a timely way as well. And one thing we've been doing at 7 News on Your Side here in Washington, D.C. is we've been going to these parent meetings where the superintendent of Fairfax County Public Schools has met face-to-face with parents to listen to their concerns. And those meetings, as you can imagine, have been fiery. There was one parent who said at the meeting to the superintendent, quote, "It's one of two things. It's either malicious or gross negligent." That's what one parent said here in Fairfax County at a meeting last week. Another parent says this is huge. It could cost a family tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship money. And he says this is going to impact college admissions for his student. And we just heard a lot of frustration, and I think that's going to continue this week. We're going to be covering it every step of the way. Terry.
It's a fascinating story. I'm really glad you're on it. So now, I guess more than 1,000 students were not notified of the honors that they received from the National Merit Corporation. And the original story came out of Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, and the school district said this is a one-time human error. We're now, as you just pointed out, 7 schools having this one-time human error. What does your reporting tell you about whether this was literally inadvertent or some kind of policy or some kind of movement was happening behind the scenes in these schools?
Yeah, so we learned at Thomas Jefferson for High School for Science and Technology, that it happened there. Like you said, one-time human error is what FCPS told the press. And then 2 more schools came out in Fairfax County, said the same error happened there, and that they notified the colleges that those students applied for those scholarships as well. But again, too late for many of those students to get those scholarship money. And then over the weekend, we learned 4 more schools in Fairfax County, a total of 7. And in nearby Loudoun County, we are learning a 4th high school in Loudoun County did the same thing. And also today, 2 schools in Prince William County, 2 high schools there, have done this as well. And this is all happening when Governor Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, requested this investigation from Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares to look into all of this. The investigation started before we knew that all these schools delayed this notification. At the time that this investigation started, only 1 school we knew of, that was Thomas Jefferson. And the investigation started looking at TJ's admissions policy. And I think we're going to find a lot more details as that investigation continues.
For sure. Nick Minock at WJLA. Thanks for being on this story.
Thanks, Terry.
Well, my next guest says the Fairfax County School District's failure to notify the students may be a violation of Virginia's Human Rights Act, and he is investigating. With us now, we're happy to welcome Virginia's Attorney General Jason Miyares. Thanks for being with us. This is such a strange story. It started at 1 school, and now you're finding other schools have been involved. We've talked to parents at ABC that have told us that the Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, quote, wanted to try to find a time that they could hand out these notifications to students when the students that didn't receive them wouldn't feel bad. Is that something that you're hearing as well, that this was done to avoid hurt feelings?
Well, this is what we know. We know that Fairfax hired an equity consultant and paid them about $455,000 for about 9 months of work. One of their recommendations to the school districts was equal outcome for every student without exception. And they also made a recommendation that even if that meant being, quote, purposefully unequal, that raised some red flags from my office in a variety of areas. One, Thomas Jefferson High School has seen a dramatic drop in Asian American enrollment. It's a magnet school. You have to apply to attend. We heard from so many Asian American parents that they felt like their child was being discriminated against admissions. And then on top of that, then we heard the national merit situation of students not being recognized. We were first told public reports that this was an administrative error. Now we found out that it is at least 7 different schools in Fairfax. And so our Virginia Human Rights Act is the principal anti-discrimination statute in Virginia. And we're determining whether if they made a decision either on the admission side or not recognizing national merit recognition based on any protected class in Virginia, including any ethnic or racial background. And so we're trying to conduct this investigation to determine if that happened, because if it did, it's a violation of the Virginia Human Rights Act, and it's against the law in Virginia.
Right. And those are the questions you're investigating, that you don't have the evidence yet that it was because of this equity consultant that this happened. Okay. So talk about the harm done here. You mentioned it a little bit in terms of admission to Thomas Jefferson High School, but let's talk about National Merit Awards. People might say, well, you know, that's a gold star. How significant is the potential harm to students whose notification that they had been recognized by the National Merit Corporation were delayed for months or longer?
Well, there's 1.5 million seniors in America today. This award, this recognition only goes to 50,000 seniors, the top 3% nationally. And it's absolutely is significant. There's at least one Virginia college that we know gives free tuition, 4-year tuition, to anyone who receives this national merit recognition. That's the equivalent of a $90,000 plus benefit that could have been available. And as somebody, I'm the child of an immigrant, I could tell you how you're going to pay for college can be stressful, as stressful, if not more, than what college you get admitted to. And the fact that these students weren't even notified and they were potentially denied some of these scholarships, there's opportunities, I think that absolutely is wrong.
And Mr. Attorney General, I do want to ask you about a statement to ABC News from the Fairfax County School District when we first started looking into this as it applied to the Thomas Jefferson High School alone, before these other high schools seem to have done it as well. And the Fairfax County School District called the delay, quote, a one-time human error, adding, quote, counselors sent emails and made follow-up calls to each college where these students had applied and informed them of the National Merit Scholarship commendations. And they also said that suggesting a deliberate intent to withhold this information would be, quote, inaccurate and contrary to the values of the Fairfax County School District. So they said it was a one-time human error at one school. You now say that that one-time human error happened the same way at 7 schools. And based on this statement, do you think the school district is being straight with parents and with you?
Well, I mean, I will tell you this. They have to answer why what was that a one-time human error has ballooned to now 7 schools in Fairfax. It looks like at least 4 schools in Loudoun. We're getting unconfirmed reports of some other schools in other Northern Virginia districts. Whether this is a one-time error, it seems to be happening a heck of a lot more than just once. We've also gotten reports. We're trying to confirm that some of this failure to notify has been going back as at least 3 or 4 years.
Okay, and finally, if in fact your office establishes that these notifications to students who could benefit from being notified that they were National Merit honorees, if it was done and disadvantaged protected groups, what are the consequences for the school district?
Well, what happens, whether it is on this issue or the admissions policy at Thomas Jefferson, we notify we've reached this conclusion. We try to reach a settlement. And if not, then we have the freedom to take them to court to have a judge order them to change their policy so they're fully compliant with the Virginia Human Rights Act. That would be the next step, is try to negotiate where they change their policies on their own. And if not, we go to court to seek them to change it.
All right. Well, Attorney General Jason Miyares of Virginia, thanks very much. We'll continue to follow this story. And thank you for being with us and explaining what's going on. Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.